microphone? I don't think so. I'm kind of yelling this morning. Sometimes you can't hear my voice, other times it's too loud. So thank you everyone for coming. I'm really excited about this event. I think it's going to be the first in a series of events that we're calling Cutting Edge, where we introduce new technologies to Forest Hill real estate. We sort of pride ourselves on that, something our office has done from the very beginning. We think of ourselves as sort of a breeding ground for new technologies and sometimes policies, sometimes reviewing, I don't know, web forms, whatever it takes, we want to be there to explain it to everybody. So today I'm really thrilled. For those of you who go onto my weekly meetings, you hear me talk about AI a lot, and I think I taught all of you how to use ChatGPT, at least some of you, and we sort of like really gravitate towards that because we think that that's what the future holds. So if we look back to the 1990s, and the advent of the internet, it really, enhanced the way we communicate, the way we comment on things, the way news is relayed to us. There were so many changes with the internet, and it really changed modern life and the way we all live. And that's how I think of artificial intelligence and machine learning. I think we're at the precipice again of something that's so dynamic, so life-changing, that it's important that we're all aware of it. It's not something you can sweep under the rug and say, I'm going to learn this another time. This is going to be integrated into everything you do. And where you want to really be at the forefront of it is you want to be the agent who understands the technology and incorporates it in what you do. Because it's not there to replace you. It is there to enhance what you're doing and to make you better and to help you save time, which is really important. Communicate better with your clients. Be really efficient when it comes to knowing your stuff. There's all kinds of algorithms for everything now. You guys know that. You use the internet all the time. You're finding out a lot of information. You're sharing this data with your clients. But the way you're going to share it is really, really transforming. And I think it's like at an exponential rate. So you're going to see so many changes coming so quickly. And the things that speak to you, incorporate them, okay? Learn them. Just like you Google now and you never knew what Google was, and you don't go back to an encyclopedia to find out, the capital of Maine. The same way, that's how technology and that's how AI is going to be part of your life, okay? So anyway, I'm so happy we have amazing speakers today. Each one is going to give about a 10-minute presentation on what they are working on. And it's all real estate related technologies. Some of it, a lot of it positioned for the realtor themselves, and some for your clients. And I'm really happy. Also, we have Courtney Cooper here, who is sort of at the forefront, I would say, of Proptech, so property technology. I think that's the acronym for it. Yeah. And she's a venture capitalist who is funding a lot of these young entrepreneurs, these innovators, who have fabulous ideas for making your lives easier. So I'm going to start with introducing Raz. Raz is the CEO and founder of Mave, and passing on to you, Raz.
Do I take the mic or do I
If
just
you
talk?
want, whatever you want.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, interrupt.
But I do want you guys to use the mic because we're recording, and I want it to catch on the.
And this is Rebecca Himelfarb. I didn't introduce her. Sorry, I should have. And she's our director of operations. She's my partner in the Yorkville office. We work closely together in all of this. So thank you for being on our panel.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Go for it. All you.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Raz. I'm the CEO of a company called Mave, and we are creating the AI tool for the real estate industry. And that's a pretty loaded thing to say. And what I want to spend, my 5-10 minutes here is just to explain to you how we got here. So I'm not from real estate. I've never been a realtor. I've never been in the brokerage space. I've been in tech my whole life. And when I bought my first home with my wife, I kind of got a little glimpse of what a realtor does on a day-to-day basis, and it really interested me to learn more. So what we end up doing is we actually shadowed hundreds of agents, brokerage owners, to really see that in the day-to-day life of a realtor, you guys are spending between 30 to 35 hours on admin tasks, marketing-related tasks, just to get a deal across the table and service your clients and provide something that will blow your clients' expectations. And yes, there's obviously a lot of tools that can help you along the way. But when you look at tools like AI, what really got us interested is this is the first time, I would say ever, where you don't actually need to use a tool anymore. It can actually just run things for you while allowing you to focus on what really matters, which is your client. So what we're trying to build here is we understood that if we actually gain access to all the data that you would need to run your day-to-day life, we can actually build a platform and a system that can actually automate it for you. So what does that mean when I say about data? Obviously there's MLS data, there is market-related data, neighborhood data, whatever it may be. Let's use an example of you being at a showing. When you're actually with someone in a property, whether it's a condo, a house, there are so many questions that come up. Some questions you know because you've done your research through whatever tool you've done. Some questions you may not know, and you have to do what I call like the let me get back to you moments, where it's you have to go do more research, go on your phone and scroll through whatever app you're using for 5-10 minutes to figure out the solution, whether it's what school district you're in, or are there any projects going up in the area that your client needs to know about, because if there's an 8-story building going up across the street and I'm on the 4th floor, my view's blocked in 3 years. These are things that are hard to navigate and hard to find. Our question is why? So when we kind of started this project, we actually built the first AI that's trained on real market data to be able to give you that information at your fingertips around the clock. But when we do have the data, what we challenge ourselves to do is, okay, now that we have all this information, what can we actually do with it? How do we take it to the next level? Can you be at the same showing and be like, hey, are there any other units in the building available that are the exact same as this that my client may care about? Okay, great, can I book a showing right now? We can do that. Can we look at your calendar and understand, hey, I have 3 showings tomorrow, here's everything you need to know about it. Should we write this email to your client and send it to them so they know what is coming up with your branding on it? We're building that. If you are listing a property and you need X amount of marketing material made with your branding, the Forest Hill branding on it, to actually sell it in the best way possible and not spend hours coordinating between vendors, making the material on Canva, whatever it may be, that's what we're here to do. So the 35 hours that you're spending to actually get a deal across the table, our mission is to make you not only the smartest possible realtor out there, but take those 35 hours and make them 5. So all you have to focus on is just the client ahead of you, so you can grow your brand, spend more time on what really matters, and let the admin work be background noise that you don't have to deal with. So how we started is literally through trial and error. We started with 1 agent, which became 1 brokerage, which became a few. Obviously met the wonderful team at Forest Hill, and you guys are actually one of the first people to test us out in the market, and you're gonna be in our like launch partner group. So I think a few of your peers here have actually started onboarding, using it, and we're rolling this out as we go with more and more and more people here at Forest Hill. We're super excited to give you what we call like almost like steroids. You're gonna be the first ones to use it, so you're gonna get it, and we're excited to keep building.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, so this is an addendum. Raz,
There you go.
as an addendum to that, Raz I've met him years ago because he had an app called Platters, and he came to our office to introduce that to our agents, and it was for when you made a large, like if you're having a business meeting and at the last minute everyone wants lunch.
Literally.
Basically, it's Uber Eats for large parties. So there were different I guess, providers, and they would bring over lunch. So it worked out really nicely, but now you've moved on, and we're happy you have, because you're doing really well in this space, and we're very impressed. A lot of our agents have already started to use Mave. I mean, were you telling me to put this in front of my face?
No, I want to turn.
Okay. And Rebecca has something to say.
I just want to say quickly about Mave that we have onboarded a small group of our realtors as kind of a trial for our office. It's incredible. It's an absolutely, like, I told him this the first time we met, that I think it's like revolutionary. Our marketing team is currently running their marketing through Mave, and our individual realtors are utilizing it as well. Right now, the trial is running within the Forest Hill Yorkville office. We plan on long-term onboarding our entire branch office, and then of course offering the technology to the entire company. I do want to mention that if you are with the Yorkville office and you're interested in learning more, please shoot me an email or approach me after this meeting, because the trial is going very well, and I'm happy to start bringing on agents who are interested in the program. But it is absolutely incredible, and there's 2 amazing things, which is that they are so attentive with everything that you could possibly need. So anytime you have a question, anytime you need training, anytime you need support, they're there for you. And they're constantly improving the program. So you're coming in on the ground floor of something that is only increasingly becoming better, more usable, more user-friendly, and the technology is just getting better. So it's a really unbelievable program.
Okay,
Can I
thank
just say
you.
one more thing?
Yes,
Back to Russ.
I just want to say a couple of things about AI and real estate specifically, which I think is important to note. So we're at the ground level. I know you hear a lot about ChatGPT, about other models, whatever it may be. This is the beginning. And especially with real estate, the way AI works is it only gets better the more you use it. So to give you like the example I used of like, hey, are there any projects around this building that I need to know about that can obstruct my view? We didn't know that. The only way we knew that is through people asking it. Someone literally asked the other day a question we didn't even know about, asking how old the building is that they're in. We didn't know that mattered because of rent control, right? Because after, I think, 2018, right, rent control applies. So it's like, what we ask is use it. The more you use it, the more we learn, and the more it actually brings on your brand to further understand what you care about. So we can recommend you better things. We can learn more about how your processes work to automate them faster. So understand this at the ground level, and there's so much exciting stuff happening. Also, I'm here, so like if you want a demo after this, come grab me. We're text-based, so you literally message a number to use this. So I'll show you how everything works, so come find me after.
okay, great. Here, I want to introduce Robert. Our next speaker is Robert Saunders. Are you the CEO of Doormat and one of the founders? And interestingly, I have an email from over a year ago where someone introduced me to Joel Fox, who's one of your partners, and I spoke to David Fingold, who's the president of Forest Hill Real Estate, who I believe met with Joel about Doormat. And here you are a year later, and your technology is taken off, and I'm very excited about it, and I'd like you to hear all about it today. So here you go, Robert.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy. And I'm really excited to be here, and thank you to the Forest Hill team for giving us this opportunity. And so like Kathy said, my name's Robert. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Doormat, and it's our mission to make real estate transactions as simple as possible. And what we're doing is we're doing that by focusing specifically on the legal closing part of the process. So my background, similar to Raz, has always been in product, engineering, design. Growing up, always being super entrepreneurial, launching apps on the App Store. And prior to starting Doormat, spent a few years at Shopify as an engineer there. But I've always known that I wanted to kind of do my own thing and start something and be an entrepreneur myself. And a few years ago, I went through the home ownership journey, was looking to buy a place in the city, and went through that process, worked with my real estate agent to find a condo downtown, really excited, put an offer in, and I thought the deal was done. I said, okay, when do I get the keys? How do I send the money? How does this all work? And he looked at me, he said, do you have a real estate lawyer? And I had never used a real estate lawyer ever, or a lawyer in general. So I was a little bit surprised to learn that in Canada, if you want to buy property, you need a real estate lawyer. And so I went through the process with the real estate lawyer that was recommended to me by him, and just found that the experience didn't really match my consumer expectations. I'm the type of person who would always take the digital option if there is one, ordering a cab through Uber, ordering my food through DoorDash, booking my hair appointment online. Like I'm that type of guy. And I was met with having to go into the office to sign the documents, everything feeling a little bit last minute through email, lots of legal jargon that I didn't quite understand. And overall, just the experience was not great. And so coming out of that, while I was still at Shopify, I really wanted to better understand, okay, what does the real estate lawyer actually do in this process? And, can we apply technology to make that process better? And so I started by interviewing, a bunch of people who had been through the process just like me to get a sense of, okay, was my experience unique to me? Was it just the real estate lawyer that I had? And what I found was it wasn't. People generally felt a lot of the same things. It's their biggest financial investment of their life. They were met with stress around the closing. They found the fees to be quite expensive. Access to a lawyer, didn't pick up the phone, didn't get back to them in a timely manner, didn't really know where they were in the process, and it just like didn't make them feel good, and kind of took away from the whole celebration of a momentous occasion for them in their life. And so I came together with one of our co-founders. Joel is in the audience there. Joel brings the business strategy partnership side of the business. And our other co-founder, Ben, is a real estate lawyer. And so he's really kind of what's made Doormat possible, of being our initial real estate lawyer. And we all left our jobs in 2022 to start the business. We took 5 months to kind of build up our initial product. And what that initial product looks like is an application for consumers, your clients, where when they have an agreement of purchase and sale, they can come to us, give it to us, we'll put all their information into our system, and they get an onboarding experience where they answer some quick questions to understand their situation, and then they're met with their dashboard where they can see where they are in the process. Has the title search happened? They can complete tasks on their own agenda, like verifying their identity, tell us how they're financing the property, so which lender they're using, all of this. And it's just a central place where everything around their transaction is in one place. And I think the other really cool part about our experience is, we're not just a purely digital experience. It's not like you don't have access to a real estate lawyer. We have a team of in-house lawyers, so you can talk to a real estate lawyer through the app. You can still phone, call, text us if you want, and a real estate lawyer will talk to you. But the application just provides a much better experience in terms of that visibility and transparency, and kind of meets those consumer expectations. And so when you're closing that property, you can you sign the documents virtually with your lawyer, your key details, and on the actual closing day, you kind of get like an Uber-like experience where you can see what's happening on the day. So we've received the mortgage funds, we're transferring title now, and we've received confirmation that this has happened, and then at the end of the day, it's like, here are your keys, and here's the lockbox combination all through the platform. And then after the fact, you have access to all your documents in one place after. And so we started this journey in September 2022. We launched our product in March of 2023, and I think we had a lot of assumptions going into last year of would people like this? Do people trust an online real estate lawyer? And coming out of last year, we ended up closing over 150 properties, and got a lot of validation from our clients and our partners that people do really like our experience. Have over 130 5-star Google reviews, and this year we're really looking to grow the business and do a lot more. And I think what's cool about how our business operates is we work very closely with real estate agents and mortgage brokers, mortgage agents. A big part of the way we get clients are through people like you. And so the way we're trying to, while we do have a client experience, we're also trying to find ways that we can provide value to you in return for, providing a top tier experience for your clients. And so we have this other product called Doormat Partners, which is an application for real estate agents where you can track the process of your clients' closings. Because one thing we talked about was we went to a bunch of agents and they're like, I hand off my clients to my real estate lawyer, but I never hear about where they are in the process. I don't know how things are going, and you guys really care about your clients. It's not a great experience for you to hear that the deal has closed from your clients. Like, you want to know that before they tell you. And so through our Doormat Partners product, you can actually stay in the loop with the process yourself and know exactly where things are. And as it relates to kind of the AI machine learning kind of side of this conversation, we're using AI and machine learning to improve our quality of service. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to provide value to you in different ways. And so something that some ideas that we've had are, imagine similar to Mave, you have an AI real estate lawyer where you have an always-on toolkit through Doormat Partners where you can ask legal questions and get an instant reply.
Right.
And so, there's a few kind of ideas that we have in the AI machine learning, and we also actively apply AI machine learning for things like verifying the identity, anti-money laundering. And so overall, like, our experience compared to traditional real estate lawyers is also a lot more secure because of AI machine learning. And so I'd love to get to the kind of the discussion part, and you know, I'm very curious to kind of hear, like, where are the ways that we can support you to earn your client's business, and yeah, so I'll leave it there, but that's kind of a little bit about our story and what we're doing. But yeah, we're on a mission to make real estate transactions simple.
Okay, great, thank you.
That was great, thank you so much. And I love the idea that the lawyers are real and that they're not just like, you're not outsourcing to other lawyers, and that there's someone to call when you have a question.
Exactly.
And great idea about having an AI lawyer, yeah, to answer like the most frequently asked questions. And then some not frequently asked questions too, because there seems to be a new problem every day that we've never heard of. Okay, now I'm going to introduce Jessica Lawton-Bonello. She is the COO of Rev Real Estate School. I love what you're doing. I think it's so exciting, so please tell us all about it.
Thank you. And hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here and really excited to be talking about a couple of my favorite things, which are technology and real estate. So I'm the co-founder and COO of a company called Rev Real Estate School. We do training and coaching for real estate agents, both individually, groups, and for brokerages. And recently, we've been working on a tool we're calling Revy. And Revy is, in our opinion, the world's first real estate AI coach. So this is a software that we're building specifically to help train real estate agents in our domain. We're building two products at the moment. One is the AI real estate coach, and the second is what we're calling an AI real estate broker. There's a couple of differences to both, and I'll get into that, but maybe I'll give you a little bit about my background and sort of why I'm trying to solve this problem first. So I'm a licensed real estate broker. I started back in 2008, right before the recession, which was perfect timing for a newbie, but it was a quick blip. And even from the beginning, I realized in this industry, there's a real lack of training and coaching for most real estate agents. I remember I did my first deal. I was totally shocked that this young woman wanted to work with me because I was so new. Obviously, I didn't tell her that. And I forgot to tell her about land transfer tax. This was my first deal. Rookie mistake. I'm sure it was covered at some point in the AREA training, but I did not remember. I remembered how to tell her how to sign the agreement and everything else, but I forgot a pretty important detail. Luckily, back then, the land transfer tax was a lot smaller. This was a $300,000 condo at the Icon building, if you guys know that downtown. So all was well in the end, but throughout my career, I've sort of noticed this. I spent most of my time at Brad Lamb Realty downtown, where I sold a number of pre-construction development projects, and was lucky to work with a lot of clients and get to sell a few $100 million in real estate. But I always noticed there was not enough support for agents in terms of building their business. We manage 5, 6, 7-figure revenue businesses, and to be honest, a lot of real estate agents are unqualified to do so, in my opinion. We don't necessarily have the business training or support, and it's nobody's fault. Brokerages are quite busy, leadership is stretched thin, and real estate agents, a lot of the time, are in this sort of middle section where we can't all afford a coach. 90% of the deals are done by 10% of the real estate agents. And so if you're doing 2, 3, even 20 deals a year, you might not have the time or the money to spend on a coach. So I got interested in technology a few years ago when I launched a startup in the fitness space, actually, jumped around a little bit. It ended up being, as sometimes happens in startups, bad timing. I launched a platform whereby people could do personal training live, online, and in real time in 2017. If this had been in 2020, I think it would be a completely different story. But my first startup invariably failed, and from that experience, though, got to really love technology. And I thought to myself, how can I find a way to incorporate technology and real estate? Because I was still a real estate agent at the time. And I ended up meeting the co-founders of a company called Properly, which at the time, 5 years ago, was Canada's highest funded Proptech startup. And really, really exciting stuff that they were doing. We offered people the opportunity to buy a property before they sold their current one. And we ended up scaling the brokerage from 0 agents to about 70, and we did about $1 billion in transaction value in the first couple of years. And we did all of this with the help of AI. We used AI considerably to price properties. And so you can go onto a website and you could put in your home's address and immediately understand what your home was valued at. We did that also because prior to launching our service offerings in Toronto, we were operating what's called an iBuying company in Calgary. And at that point, we would actually buy properties from consumers directly. So we needed an algorithm to help our team understand the valuation of properties. So that opened my eyes to the world of AI. I hadn't explicitly worked with it before, and I found it fascinating. So fast forward, I got laid off in September because Properly got sold to Compass and to a company here in Toronto. And I ended up getting back in touch with someone that I worked closely with at Properly. And we decided what we really want to do is bring this tool to real estate agents. So it's very simple. It's a conversational chatbot. It's been trained very specifically on all of the Rev real estate trainings, learning modules that we do, podcasts. Any coaching sessions have all been trained into this model, so you can ask any real estate sales related question and get an immediate answer. This is important in a couple of ways. I found as a real estate agent and then as the sales director at Properly, a lot of the questions that agents had sort of come up time and time again. And they're also coming up, as I call it, just in time. You need an answer to your question right in the heat of the moment. And usually it's when you have a deal that's on the line, or you have a closing that's happening, or you just have this question that you need answered, and you need the answer now. And what happens often is brokerages don't have as much time, you can't necessarily get a hold of your broker or your manager to ask that question, and then you're sort of floundering. So this tool will enable real estate agents to get any sales questions that they have answered. I also want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the AI broker, because this is what's in development right now. The AI broker basically is a clone of Kathy. So Kathy is a very busy lady. She has lots of agents that she loves to help and support, but she's only one person. And Kathy isn't scalable until now. We've decided to harness AI technology to basically clone the way Kathy answers questions, clone the way policies and procedures, standard operating procedures are done here at Forest Hill Real Estate, as well as amalgamate all the regulatory data in your market. So I don't know about you, but if you have a real estate question and you think to yourself, okay, is this a TREB problem? Is this a RICO problem? Do I need a clause here that I have to find in the UREA bank? There's no one source of truth when it comes to data for a real estate agent. You have to go to all these different places. So with this tool, we have trained it on all of the information you need to do a transaction. If you have questions about the TRESA legislation that just came into effect, which was not the smoothest rollout, if we're honest. I think a lot of us still probably don't understand all of the details of it. Or you have a tenancy question. It's been trained on the Residential Tenancies Act. If you have a question about what to do if a deposit doesn't come in, we can answer that. If you have a question about where you hand in deals and how you do so at your brokerage, all of that can be answered. So every single brokerage that signs on with Revy will have their own specific platform built for them, specifically for that brokerage or team. So whether you're a large brokerage or a small brokerage, all of your training materials will be in one location. So right now we're in development. We have our AI coach available now. So I can also send Kathy out the link. If anyone wants to try it, please do. I'd love your feedback. It's revy.io. You can try the AI real estate coach for free, and you'll also sign up for the AI broker, which should be ready in about 2 weeks. We are allowing some brokerages to come on to sort of be our testers. When you're launching a product, it's super important to get user feedback. And so we're running a pilot program with a few brokerages. And Kathy, I know we can talk about if your team would like to be part of it.
We'd love to do it.
Yeah. So that should be coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I would absolutely love everybody to try out. Give me your feedback. If you love it, you hate it, let me know. We can talk a lot more about AI specifically, I guess, in the coming few minutes,
Yes.
because I have lots of opinions on how it can improve our industry, but that's a not so brief rundown of what I'm working on.
Okay, that's amazing. That's great. That's very exciting, and I love that. And so, I mean, it's just so I'm clear, is the idea that like it's how I would answer a question for Forest Hill agents, let's say, and how Leonard is going to answer a question for his agents. And
Exactly.
yeah. So we train them the AI.
we'll interview you so we understand how you like to answer questions.
Right.
If you have a standard operating procedure you follow in certain situations, we can do that. If you have podcasts that you launch for your agents or recorded training sessions that you want the model to learn, all of that can be incorporated.
Okay, amazing. That's really, really fantastic. Thank you. And last but definitely not least, I want to introduce Courtney Cooper. And Courtney is a venture capitalist she's the person who's investing in all these fantastic technologies, these amazing innovators. And you're the one taking the risk, who has to believe in them and promote them. And I'd love to hear all about what you're doing, because I find that very interesting as well. There you go. And your company's called Alate Partners.
Yeah.
And you're the CEO of Proptech, is that right?
Partner. I lead the
Partner.
Proptech vertical, yeah.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Well, thank you, and so excited to be here. So I invest through Alate in Proptech startups. So people like the ones up here, the people who are starting new ideas that are hopefully going to grow into big companies that help people like you. But we invest across real estate. So we do residential, but we also invest in companies that help on the commercial side, things like how to make buildings more efficient, all the way through how do you make a real estate transaction more efficient for home buyers, home sellers, realtors, how does that connect with the developers, the whole process. So anything that touches technology and real estate or buildings, we're interested in. We invest in the early stage, and so that can look like the companies that are up here. We don't invest, just on an idea. Typically, we invest when the team has picked the idea, they've dedicated to it, they've most likely left their jobs, they've built some products, they typically have some amount of revenue. So it's still very early, but there's real commitment from the founding team and some real research and work that helps them know that they are committed to, or help us know that they are committed to this idea, and there is some reason why we should believe that they are the ones who are gonna build it. In terms of investments, we typically make investments of $500,000 to $1 million would be sort of our initial check size into companies across Canada and the US, although we do, obviously based in Toronto, have a special place for Canadian founders, so that's an area that we really focus on. Our backers, we originally started through a partnership between Dream, who I'm sure many of you know on the development side, and Relay Ventures, which is one of the largest venture capitalists, and they've been together investing since 2012, and the founders are some of the most experienced VCs in Canada. So that was how Alate got started, really to bring together the best knowledge in real estate and venture investing. And then since then, we've launched a fund and brought on other LPs or investors for us that are in the real estate space. So we have some brokerages, we have some real estate companies, and we really believe in the value of our focus is that we really understand the real estate industry. I will never know or be as deep as any of you in the real estate transaction or as a building operator who's managing a building, but what we really try to do is build our network of experts in the space who can help us identify what trends, what they're looking for, what the problems are, the things that frustrate them in their day-to-day. And when we come across companies like this, we have people to call and ask them, would you use this? Can you meet this company? What are you doing today? And help us identify where companies are solving real challenges. So I mentioned this before, but when we think about who do we invest in, we look for founder market fit. A lot of the ideas that we hear aren't new. You hear them, maybe some of these ideas you heard 10 years ago, but now the technology has actually moved along, and today is the right time. There's lots of people that have the same ideas at a similar time, and so for us, it's really trying to understand why is this team the right person, the right people to build this at the right time. Being focused on real estate, we genuinely believe in the importance of understanding the real estate process. So not all of our founders don't have to come from the industry, but they have to be building the right relationship, hiring the right talent, and show us that they have a real deep understanding for the problem that they're solving, and they really understand their customers and have a huge customer focus so they can learn and build the right things. We do believe that there is value in people coming from the outside and bringing their ideas, but We don't believe that when people come in with arrogance of, oh, like the way that people do it right now doesn't make sense and we're just going to fix it with technology, that most often doesn't work. And so really understanding the problems and designing for those, because ultimately it's not just a technology problem. There's other reasons and influences for why things are done the way that they are. And it's really important to have that expertise and relationships with the customers. So talked a little bit about timing. So I think that timing is a real key factor. For us, we invest in businesses for the long term, and for us, that's typically in the 10-year horizon. So this has to be businesses that can get traction today, but are on growing trends that will continue to grow and develop over the next 10 years. And hopefully, we're investing a little early so that as the companies get to scale, that's when massive adoption takes place. And then obviously we have to look at the opportunity specifically. What is the size of the market? How big can these companies get? What is the business model of the company? So we look at all those types of things because for us, we invest really early. It is a higher risk type of investment. We do expect that some of our companies will go out of business or not return our capital. But when we do our sort of portfolio construction and the way that we think about it, and most VCs think about it, is that there's, if you make investments in 20 or 30 companies, a couple of those are the ones that really drive all of your returns, and then the rest, might return 2 times, 3 times. Some of them won't work. And so for us, it's about investing in businesses that have the potential to be national or go into the US and beyond and get to tens or hopefully hundreds of $millions in revenue, so that when the companies sell, we all do well and the industry, and they have big adoption in the industry. The other thing I wanted to mention was that when we invest, it's very early, and so we're investing in people. They're trying to solve the problem, and they will evolve over time. And so the idea, so why it's so important for us to invest in the people is because they have to understand what they're building and understand their market and evolve, because the first idea isn't always the one that ends up what the company looks like in 10 years from today, or they have to iterate and adapt from their initial thinking. So being able to learn very quickly and build in feedback is part of what we expect from the entrepreneurs that we invest in. 2 other things I thought that might be important for people who are customers of early stage startups is that it's really important for founders who are early to focus and get really, really good at the one thing that they're doing. And it is impossible for small teams to do everything at once and to get everything right. So founders have to exercise extreme discipline in terms of what they're building, and so they build sort of something that's a feature or a very sort of well-scoped product at the beginning, and then hopefully these companies over time are then able to continue to build all of the things that you want and expand out from the verticals that they start with. And the other thing is just understanding the speed of change. When companies start, it's early and the products might be a little clunkier, or they might not have all of the features or be as feature-rich as you would like. And so a big part of that is the feedback cycle and then hearing from customers what they can improve. And I think that what is shocking is just how quickly these companies can improve, and especially with the advancements in AI, specifically, it's not years for AI models to get better, it's months. And so we're seeing such fast improvement that these are the companies that are building today from the best technology, and so things are going to change very quickly in the next couple of years. And so if you're working with an early stage startup, I think that hopefully it's a really good product, but also just know that so much is going to change every month and every year in terms of how much better they get. I think that.
Very well said. Yeah, thank you. I just have one question about that. So this will, thank you so much. You were all fantastic. I feel like we're among the best and the brightest, and it's very uplifting and exciting to be together today. So thank you. My question for you, Courtney, is how many different startups are you working with at any given time?
So we typically invest in somewhere between 20 and 25 companies in a fund. They'll be at different stages because we might deploy that capital over 3, 4, 5 years. So I would say that we're most active with somewhere between like 10 and 15 companies at a time. It's not just me, there's a team, and so we've got, we all sort of work with different companies and try to support and build our network so that our networks can also help the companies, and that's something that we really try to deliver on, and I think we do a decent job at it. And yeah, but we see, I meant to mention this, so we do research on Proptech in Canada, and based on the way that we define it, there's about over 500 companies in Canada that are doing something in the real estate technology space. I don't know offhand how many of those are in the residential space, but there's a significant amount of companies that are building, and most of them are still in the early days. So we'll still see many more emerge, and hopefully, we'll help invest in some of the best ones and help to find them. But if you come across any that are great, I'm always interested to hear what you guys are finding interesting.
Okay, great. So thank you. That's also a great answer. My next question is so for the people that you're working with on the stage, how long does your relationship typically go? Is this a 3-year relationship until everything gets up and running? Is this, throughout the life of the technology? How, just so I understand, sort of from a timing point of view.
Yeah, it really depends, but it can be 10 years. The time that it takes for companies to get started to go public can be 11 plus years. So it's been longer. Companies have been staying private longer. All our companies don't always exit through the public market, so they might exit through M&A. But just like real estate, venture is cyclical, and so you want to sell companies at the right time, which was. 2021 was a great time to sell companies, and so right now is a great time to build companies, and then when the next 2021 rolls around, hopefully we're selling companies at sort of the height of the market and when there's really big opportunities. But we work very closely with companies, especially at the beginning. So that could be weekly calls, that could be monthly calls, but we communicate by text, we're there if anything comes up. But as companies grow and graduate to the later stages, we invest and are typically the closest with the companies at the seed and Series A. But over time, they build they build bigger teams, they have more investors around. So, it is our goal that companies still want us to be around. And as early investors, we're often the most aligned with the founders of investors because we invested earliest. So, from an alignment from a sales perspective is typically quite aligned. So I think that we hope that we can be a partner through the life of the business, but as companies grow, they get more great people around them, and they get the right advisors and the right people within the teams. So the way that we work together we expect to change over time, and for them to be just to call us for what they need at different times.
Okay, great. Do you have any questions, Rebecca?
I'm curious, just in terms of your role within each startup, is there an advisor role as well, or is it mostly funding, or is it also business management? I'm curious, how intertwined you are with the actual management of the startup.
So we led Doormat's pre-seed last year, so we've been working with them for over a year. So Robert can keep me honest on what I say, but ultimately it depends. Founders have different skill sets they bring. They don't have all of them, and so I think that we look for people that are self-aware and understanding where they can use help and where they can expand their teams and leverage their investors. So we are typically on the boards of the company and have board meetings quarterly. In terms of day-to-day management, we try not to be involved day-to-day. We invest in smart people who we trust to operate, but where we get very involved is thinking about sort of annual planning, budgeting, thinking about the broader strategy, hopefully being a sounding board and helping them. We really try to help them get the right talent and put the right talent in the right places early on. So myself, I've been in this role for 6 years. The team at Relay has been doing this for, in some cases, 30, 35 years. So I think we know a lot of talent in the industry, and we try to place great people within our companies when they're looking for their next opportunity. So I think that talent, helping them get the right advisors, whether that is, a fractional CFO because they don't have the finance function at the beginning, or helping them find the right people for marketing and branding and make those types of decisions. So I think generally it wouldn't work. Our business doesn't work for us to roll up our sleeves and be day-to-day operating the business, and we don't want to do that. We leave that to the founders, but we hope if there are problems that they're trying to solve between us and the rest of their advisory group and team, we can help them sort of figure out the right approach, and then they operate.
Okay, interesting, thank you. Thank you. I have a question for Jessica, and then we can open it up to all of you too. My question is, you're the only person on the stage, other than Rebecca and I, who has a real estate license. Yes. So when you hear about all this tech, like, how would you explain to a realtor how this is going to change their lives, that, you know, what it means, then this is something you said that you were going to allude to, and how we can incorporate it without, you know, with it being a plus, not a threat?
I love this question. I think when we hear about new advances in technology, or in anything really, there's often a feeling of like fear. Like, and this is common, are robots going to replace me? The answer is emphatically no. I believe wholeheartedly in the value that a good real estate agent brings to a transaction and to a client. I've worked at Proptech companies and scaled Proptech companies where, you know, we experimented with what does it look like to not have a real estate agent in a transaction. It does not look good. Clients still require a real estate agent, and a trusted advisor in this process is so key. On the other hand, what I do really believe is that robots and technology are not going to replace real estate agents, but real estate agents will be replaced by real estate agents who use technology. So I'll say that again. Real estate agents will be replaced by real estate agents who use technology. This shouldn't scare you. A lot of the technology that's coming out today couldn't be simpler and more easy to use. We're talking like Mave, you text. You just pick up your phone and text, and you can get everything you need right to your phone. Couldn't be simpler. With us, you simply speak into your phone or text a question, you get an instant answer. So even myself, having worked in technology for a long time, you know, you come across a new tool or a platform, there's so many buzzwords, it seems so complicated, and you're like, oh, I don't have time for this. It's too much. I train a lot of real estate agents and coach a lot of real estate agents in our business, and I often tell them to outsource the thing they don't like doing, right? So for you, maybe it's social media. Maybe like you know you need to be on Instagram, but like the thought of it, just, ugh, you can't. There are tools out there that you can use AI to just help you create content, post the content for you, have a schedule. You can use AI to give you ideas to create content. I mean, it's endless. I have a whole list of tools I can always suggest if that's helpful. But I think what we need to remember is adoption is skyrocketing. We are in a revolution right now, and maybe I'll put it into context for everybody. When Netflix launched, it took them 3.5 years to get to 1 million users. When Facebook launched, it took them 10 months. When Spotify launched, it took them 5. Instagram, 2.5 months to get to 1 million users. Does anyone want to guess how long it took OpenAI's ChatGPT to get to 1 million users?
A month.
I'm hearing a lot of really good answers. It was 5 days.
Wow.
5 days.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And to get to...
We do love it.
ChatGPT is great, and I'd love to talk about that a little bit more too, because I think a lot of real estate agents use it in a very simplistic way and don't typically know how to prompt it. So using it for listing descriptions, for example, is one use case, but there's so many more. But just to back up, it took 2 months for ChatGPT to get to 100 million users. Okay, so it's not a question of if AI is coming. AI is here, and I think what's really important to remember is that it doesn't have to be overwhelming. We can all incorporate it into our business to help us and to streamline the things that we don't love as much. Most of us get into this business because we love people, we love sales. We can focus on that and use AI tools to help us become better salespeople, to help us automate administrative tasks, all kinds of things. And I would suggest, if you're new to AI, pick 1 or 2 tools that you want to explore and just play around with them. Don't feel this pressure on your shoulders that you have to start utilizing this enormous tech stack. You'll be overwhelmed and you won't do it, and then it won't help you. So happy to offer any advice or tools after the fact. Come approach me. And I think it's a lot to be excited for rather than fearful about.
Okay, very well said, and I'll be quoting you about the real estate agents using technology. Does anyone in the audience have any questions?
I'm going to grab a second mic and bring it over to them and give a mic to this side, and then we can do the
Okay.
chat. Yeah, will you grab me that mic, Francis? Yes. Oh, were you doing it for a
There's
question?
water at your feet if you want water.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
Pat, are we going to use that for questions or just let people shout out?
You can shout out,
Okay,
kind of.
and I'll use this.
Yes. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
I have a question for all of you. Any of you can answer it.
Sorry, do you mind standing up just so we can hear you?
Yeah. So what we make, the software that you guys are offering different than like a ChatGPT? Because from what you guys have all said, you basically have to prompt the AI anyways. So what makes your software different than a ChatGPT?
Very good question.
Great question. Okay, so I think a few things are here to note. Okay, let's start with the very beginning. So ChatGPT is unbelievable. I use ChatGPT literally every single day. Our team does too. But when it comes specifically, let's go with the real estate data. ChatGPT legally can't use a lot of the data that you have access to. Legally, realtors are the only ones who can. So when you want to run a specific process or gain information about a listing, the market, whatever it may be, you actually can't use ChatGPT to get that information. You need someone who can legally give you that. In our situation, we haven't. So that's like a very obvious difference. But let's get a bit more sophisticated. So I think ChatGPT is amazing at a lot of things, but I think what people are afraid of when using ChatGPT is what it won't do or what it will screw up with because it's inconsistent. And especially when you're advising a client or you're running a process for yourself, there's a lot of times where a tool like ChatGPT, because it's so robust and it's slightly unpredictable, it can go in so many different ways where it will fail you. And especially when you're at a showing and you're asking something as simple as how many bedrooms does this listing have? Or tell me about the building. If it gets it wrong, like that reflects on you. So I think what people need to remember when you're using a general tool like a ChatGPT is it doesn't have those safety methods and capabilities in place where specialized tools and services like Mave or any of the ones you're hearing about here, we're building that pathway to ensure that whatever you need specifically for you is done in a way that will always work the way you need it to. So I think that's something you should always consider when you are using a more general tool like a ChatGPT. Is it doesn't have those built in. And the third piece of the pie is like, this is almost like a general thought about AI that I think everyone should know about, is you can do so many things with it. I mean, ChatGPT and OpenAI literally have built tools to let you upload your own data, let it run wild with it, let's see what it can do with it. But I think what we always talk about, I was talking about with you guys like before this, is because you can do so much, it is very hard to know what to do. Like, it's hard to know where to start. I mean, I can tell you about all the different data we have. You may not even know where to begin to ask it, right? Like, there's news every single day that can affect the way you run this process or this decision. How do you know that we even have that? So I think the way to really offer the right service in this environment is you have to generally be preemptive in nature. Like, our mission is to kind of like understand when you're going to need this specific data point or this service done to actually beat you to the punch, to offer it on a silver platter before you even ask for it, because I think that's where the true value is going to be. And the only way to really offer that is to have what I spoke about before, but also like really understanding the user flow of the user you're building for. And in our case, it's specifically the real estate industry and realtors. So that's where I think you're going to see a real difference in the way you use a product like ours or any of the ones on screen, on stage.
I can add maybe a little bit to that as well. I think like what Raz is talking about here is context. So, OpenAI's context is trying to be like, the whole world. It's trying to have the context of everything. It's really hard to do that. It'll get better over time. But I think a more macro trend that we're seeing in the tech space is there's an increasing amount of agents that are designed to do very specific things and have the context around very specific things. And so to answer your question and what Raz was saying, it's, what Mave is so good about is it has the context around the MLS and it can answer a lot more targeted questions around that. And it's just like, an AI is really kind of just trying to be just like the way we think. Like, it's really hard for us to jump into a conversation that we have no context about. And so, I think where we're different in building in these very specific niches is that we're providing the AIs with the sufficient context to be a lot more helpful that OpenAI and ChatGPT can be. I'm sure just has some stuff to add to that.
Do we want to give more time though? Other questions?
Oh, wait, I don't need to pass back anymore.
Yes, does anybody, because we moved the mics, yeah. Yes, Judy Gottlieb. By the way, I just want to say before people start to leave, thank you so much for coming, everybody, and like, it's a really diverse group of realtors from throughout Toronto, and I really appreciate it, and thanks. Okay, Judy.
So, Liz, I think like your website for the broker manager, because all the questions that every agent has to call their broker manager, you can just ask and the answers will come. But I'm wondering who pays for the service. Is it the broker? Is it the agent? And one more question to you. Are you working with any startups that want to replace real estate agents with digital real estate agents?
Okay, great question. And I think we should ask Kathy. Kathy, do you want to pay for Revy or do you want to pass the cost on to your agent? No, we are just about to roll out our pricing. And so our goal is to really democratize coaching and training for agents. And so we're going to keep it at a very low price per seat per month. And it will depend on the brokerages. Some of the brokerages that we have signed up now are passing those costs on to the agent. Some of them are covering them for them. It really depends on the brokerage, but it's a low cost, like less than $10 per agent per month is the fee. I think the second question was for you, right?
Yeah, and sorry, did you say replacing agents? I guess it depends what you mean. We aren't investing in that's not something that we're investing in. I think that there are companies that are trying to have lower commissions, and so you've seen lower commission brokerages. There's tech that helps enable that, but I think for us, we believe that the agents are an important part of the process, and so I think it's more about how do you make it a better experience for everyone involved, how do you increase volume without increasing work for realtors, and then, thinking about what should the pricing be, what's included, who pays for staging, how do you be more efficient?
I think we're okay for now. We're okay for now. We're good.
Not at the moment, and I don't think people have had, like, there's agents that have lower commissions, but no commission agents, no commission solutions we haven't really seen success with. I think that, you might see companies that are trying to make it easier to do direct deals. Oh, me? No, we haven't.
She wants to know if she should like you or not.
Oh, yes, no. We're investing in companies like this that are working to make the agents better.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we should do maybe just one or two questions, just because I know it's getting to that point where everyone
Yes,
has to go have
Larry?
lunch.
The real estate coach. Have you interacted with Rico at all on this? Because you're disseminating information, right? We're highly regulated. They're very territorial about the information that's given, who gives it, and how they give it. So have you had any interaction with Rico on that? Not like Rico, the called the educational purpose for a reason, because there was lack of faith in what was being presented. So how does that interact with their licensing regulatory?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I mean, compliance and regulation is key to the industry. We are in conversations with many players, but at this point, a lot of the information that we're using is either public or available because we're licensed agents. And so, yes and no is the answer to that. All I can say for now.
Yes. Doormat.
Since the beginning of my career, I've been always advised to be careful when it comes to legal matters, not to overstate my authority as a legal. Now, in your case, you are offering legal advice to clients or to realtors. In case something is not correct, who takes legal responsibility? Is it your app or is it the lawyer who gave the advice?
It's a great question, and
Can you just reiterate the question?
yes. So I don't know your name.
Alex.
Alex. Alex is asking who takes legal responsibility when improper legal advice or bad advice, or when issues pop up when somebody closes their property through a platform like Doormat. The short answer is it falls to the licensees, the real estate lawyers, because they are actually licensed lawyers. They are called to the bar, and they are licensed under the Law Society of Ontario. So that's the short answer, and that's part of the reason why we feel strongly that the real estate lawyers need to work on our team and actually be in-house, so that we can make sure that we have the best real estate lawyers that work for us. Some other players in this space offload that responsibility to partner real estate law firms or people who don't work directly with them, and so we've chosen a different path. When there are issues, I think like the big highlight with our platform is, there are property transactions that don't go smoothly. There are issues that pop up, and that's exactly, again, why we have those in-house lawyers. You can still call, text, and chat with a real estate lawyer. I think what's really cool about our platform is it's letting the real estate lawyers actually focus on giving that advice and making sure that it's accurate and correct. And all the stuff around the transaction, like the administrative work that they might be doing, is solved with the technology.
That's awesome, thank you. Okay. Does anyone have one last question, because that was a fast one? No, we answered every question?
I can also add one more thing.
Go ahead.
Just one more thing to add to that as well. One thing I didn't mention was we're also became the second company in Canada or in Ontario to become officially regulated by the Law Society of Ontario. So
That's very cool. Yes.
that's a key highlight that I wanted to highlight. It took us quite a while to work with them on that process, but we are officially regulated as part of the legal innovation kind of regulatory sandbox that they have created over the last few years.
Yeah, that's very cool. I just made a note for myself to go and download it. I was like, this is good, I need this. Okay.
Okay, so I guess anything else? Someone had a question? Larry?
Doormat there. About the accuracy question over here. Now, real estate lawyers complain generally about real estate law because real estate lawyers get sued all the time. And the hikes in their E&O insurances is ridiculous. And it's largely attributable to real estate lawyers making mistakes. One of my existing partners here, we recently had a deal where a lawyer screwed up and the property didn't close because of the lawyer's screw up. It got out of it. So how do you guys cover for that? Do you guys have to pay E&O insurance? Like who signs off on the actual guaranteed title and all that?
Ask the question.
And one other, to sort of springboard out that, yours is a rules-based AI platform. Am I not?
Yeah, we actually don't have an AI offering to clients directly. We're more so focused on leveraging AI for our internal operations, and potentially in the future might explore ways we can offer AI solutions to real estate agents and clients. But obviously, because of the sensitive nature of what we're doing and the amount of trust that is being given to us, we don't feel that AI is at the point where it can be fully trusted. I think there's a lot of opportunity internally for us to leverage AI to do 90% of the work, but there's always a human in the loop. And this is actually what they talk quite a lot about in AI is the human in the loop. There's a lot of opportunity for AI to do a lot of the work, but then still have actual real estate lawyer review that work and make sure it's accurate. So it's letting you do more by creating that leverage, but they're still actually looking at the right things that they should be. In terms of the errors and omission insurance that you mentioned, so every licensee, every lawyer that works for us, they have their own insurance policy and Doormat pays for that. And then also at the corporation level, we also have an errors and omission policy that covers all of our real estate lawyers. And we also take out title insurance on every single transaction. And so far, of the hundreds of deals that we've done, thankfully we haven't had an issue, but it's probably sure to happen eventually, but we feel quite well covered and think we have the best real estate lawyers.
And can I add one tiny thing? As an investor, and just make clear that they're not just using AI to close real estate deals. If you think about what a real estate lawyer does and what a lot of the pain points are, it's communicating by email, it's a lot of administrative tasks. And so they've built technology and a platform that helps their team do that faster. So when you pick up a file and then go away and do other things and come back, it's much faster. And so they are using AI and looking at ways to do that. But most importantly, they're making their lawyers more efficient and making the process much better for for home buyers and sellers and realtors, and so you don't have to do more repetitive data entry so that their teams can be faster. So I think that's the a core part of the platform today, and they are using AI, but a lot of what they're doing is just being really good real estate lawyers and using the best technology available to them.
And I think just to add to that, like one thing, real estate lawyers do a lot of the same thing over and over again, but they do it differently every single time. And so that's where we're seeing a lot of efficiency by building the internal guardrails and standardizing more of the process for us to actually do more deals and become more efficient. We're actually probably less likely to make an error because it's actually a lot more standardized and we have all the right checks in place because we've actually codified the process. So I just wanted to highlight as well.
Okay, thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I just want to take 1 second before I say farewell to just, I wanted to introduce we have our president here, David Fingold, our founder of Forest Hill Real Estate, Ronnie Fingold, and our director of sales, Richard Himelfarb. Yay. And we have an amazing, all of you are fantastic, so thank you so much for attending, and looking forward to going into the future, all of us together.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't be afraid, it's going to be fun, and thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And these guys are hanging out if you want. Oh, and if you guys want to hang out and talk to anybody, to Roz or Robert or
It's actually
Jessica,
not even out that you
stick
download.
around.
It's
Oh wait, this is a little.
So
Thank you.
Doormat.ca.